Hello and welcome to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. This is episode number 53. My name's Ismael San Juan. Thank you so much for being here. The Clippers and the Suns just played an epic Game 2. We'll touch on all of that crazy ending. Bucks and Nets played another epic Game 7. The Bucks squeak out a victory. The Nets are going home. Ben Simmons has a terrible second round in the playoffs against the Hawks. The Hawks move on. Shout out to them, but we'll touch on Ben Simmons. And last but not least, I'll give my Wimbledon prediction, which kicks off in less than a week. All of that on this episode of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Let's get started. What did we just watch? That was a crazy, epic game. The Suns squeak out a victory against the Clippers at home. 103-104. Suns with the last-minute bucket by Ayton get a home victory. They go up 2-0 against the Clippers. The Clippers have been down 0-2 twice these playoffs against the Mavs and against the Jazz, but this one feels a little different. Kawhi is hurt. The Suns are a young, athletic, quick, agile team, and they're getting CP3 most likely back by Game 3. So it looks like it's a big hole for the Clippers to jump out of. I wouldn't count them out though. They've been resilient. Tyronn Lue has made all the right moves in these playoffs. So by no means does this mean that they are done. But the Suns, congratulations to them. They're 2-0 now in the Western Conference Finals. They've won 9 games in a row. But let's get to the ending of this game. What a crazy last 2 minutes. The last, I believe, minute and a half, or the last 90 seconds of the game took 33 minutes to finish, which was just crazy stuff. Very entertaining, but let's touch on some points. DeAndre Ayton scores the game-winning bucket with 0.9 seconds on the clock. Great inbound pass by Crowder. Great screen set by Booker. And DeAndre Ayton is able to get the bucket, which puts them up by 1. This was only possible because PG-13, playoff P, he had played great throughout the playoffs. He had been amazing. He had redeemed himself from last year's debacle. He had played 3 straight games, I think 4 straight games now of 30-plus points at this point. He had been great. He was the reason the Clippers beat the Jazz. They came back without Kawhi. I don't have too much to say about playoff P, about PG-13 up to this point, other than he had been balling out. He had been a great player for the Clippers in the playoffs, and he struggled this game, but he turned it up in the fourth quarter, and the reason the Clippers weren't in this game was because PG-13 was amazing, phenomenal at the end of the game. He's basically why they took the lead at the end of the game. But with 9 seconds left, he goes to the line. He has 2 free throws to basically make it a 3-point game. It was a 1-point game at that point. Clippers lead. He makes both free throws. They're going to need 3 points. They're going to need 3 points to tie it. There's no way the Clippers lose. At the very minimum, they're going to overtime if he makes both of his free throws. And he misses the first one. Okay, you know what? That sucks. It's not the end of the world. You make another one. And now you're up 2. You force them to have to make a 3 if they want to go for the win. And if you give up a 2, then it's not the end of the world. You're going to overtime. But he misses the second free throw too, and just in unbelievable fashion, PG-13 melts in the free throw line. It was just crazy scenes. And what got us to that point too, PG-13 scored the bucket to get them. I believe he scored the bucket to get them up 1. Booker's going down the court, and Patrick Beverley makes a great play, knocks the ball out of bounds, and they gave the ball to the Clippers because if you slow down the image to milliseconds to nanoseconds, then you could tell that at the very end of the swat by Patrick Beverley, his hand is off, and Devin Booker's hand is still on it. So because of that, it's Clippers ball. So I have some problems with that call. Like, I think the same thing happened against the Cavs in the finals. It's just like video replay has just been a mess, not just in basketball, but in football, or not football, but yeah, football, soccer, basketball. There's been a lot of video replay that It just slows down the game too much. Anyways, they give the ball to the Clippers. I think it should have been Suns' ball, but since they slowed it down to the very nanosecond, then you could tell that, yeah, it kind of like Booker's hand was on it at the last second. Nonetheless, PG-13 chokes. Suns have the ball with 9 seconds left. They draw up a nice play. Booker gets double team. He kicks it out. I believe it was Bridges who had a wide open three, and he clanks it. Ayton goes for the rebound. But he's not able to get it, but he puts pressure. I believe I was on Subak, who hits the ball out of bounds. 0.9 seconds left. Suns have one last chance. They put in Boogie Cousins to block the inbounds. They run a beautiful play, and DeAndre Ayton slams the ball, dunks the ball. Just unbelievable scenes. I'm still processing everything that happened. Just crazy, crazy stuff. You guys watch this game, let me know what do you guys thought. It was a crazy, crazy finish. But another gripe that I have is with the video replay is that it gives coaches timeouts that they wouldn't otherwise have. Yeah, that was a great play by Ayton to score. It was beautiful. Monty Williams deserves all the credit in the world for drawing that play up. But the Suns were out of timeouts at that point, and because the play warranted the referees to go check it on video replay, then the Suns basically got a free timeout. All the players went to the sidelines. Monty Williams drew up a play, and he drew it up to perfection. Props to him. Monty Williams has an out-of-bounds bag. If it would have been Coach Budenholzer from the Bucks, he probably would have just passed it to Giannis and let him chuck up something. I just had to get out there because Coach Bud, he's not the best at out-of-bounds plays. Anyways, I digress. We needed to figure out what to do with these challenges or with these video replays at the end of the game, because it gives coaches too many timeouts, and it kind of diminishes the value of timeouts, because there are some coaches that are really good at keeping their timeouts, having a lot of timeouts at the end of the game, and they don't take timeouts throughout the game because they're saving them for the end. And if teams just get free timeouts every time something goes to video replay, and it seems like everything goes to video replay nowadays. A foul, you're gonna check if it's a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. Sometimes it's a common foul, and they're just checking it for no reason. Is it gonna be a flagrant? Is it not? Technical? Is there another technical that's warranted? Like is it gonna be a double technical? Did anybody come did any of the benches come into the court? There's just so much stuff that gets put up to video replay. All these out of bounds plays. There's too much stuff. And it just gives teams a lot of timeouts that they otherwise wouldn't have. So there needs to be some adjustment on that end. But other than that was a great game. Devin Booker had a decent game. Beverly bumped into him, and he broke his nose. Kind of looked like he broke his nose. He was bleeding a lot. Beverly kind of cut his forehead open. It was just a crazy, crazy game. I'm still getting all my thoughts together. It's just like, it was incredible. It was a awesome game 2. I'm excited for game 3. These NBA playoffs have been amazing. The second round kind of got slow for a little bit, but then it picked up, and now it has been like these last few games, this last weekend and leading up to today, Tuesday, it's just been ridiculous. But what do you guys think? Did you guys watch the game? What do you guys think? Should that have been out of bounds Clippers ball, or does the rule need some like softening? Like, do you have to interpret it to the letter of the law? Because the ball went out of bounds because Beverly touched it, and if you don't cut it frame by frame, then it's obvious like that Beverly was the one that hit it out of bounds. But I mean, I kind of see why. Like, yeah, it hit Booker's hand at the end, or like it barely grazed him. So I guess I could see both sides of it. Like, you gotta just enforce it by the letter of the law. But I'm more on the side of that whoever kind of like pushed it out, or if it's not clear and obvious, like, yeah, if you bump it out of bounds and you could obviously see that it hit me, then yeah, that's fine. But if it's like who let go of I don't know, it's hard to explain. And also the timeouts, these video replays, they're giving too many timeouts to teams. What do you guys think about that? And also got to give DeAndre Ayton a shout out. That draft class looks amazing. Him, Luka, there's countless other stars from that draft class. Trae Young, both Bridges. It just looks like that draft class is loaded, and they're gonna continue to take over the league. And Ayton has just proved why he's better than Gobert. Gobert, he's such a liability. He has no offensive game. His defense is just at the rim. He's not that mobile. He's not that agile. The Clippers completely picked on him, and Ayton has shown his class in 2 games for the Suns in the Western Conference Final. He has been the difference. He's getting the boards. He's dominating. He's actually using his size to an advantage. So shout out to Ayton for being a force down low. And Game 3 is going to be amazing. I'm excited to see how that plays out. Are the Clippers out? Not by any chance. We'll see if Kawhi comes back. It doesn't look like he is, but PG-13, he had a rough, finish to the game, missing through 2 free throws. But I think he still has something in him, and they go back to LA, so hopefully they do better. But this series has been amazing. I'm excited to see how it finishes. The Bucks and the Nets played this weekend for Game 7. It was an epic match. The Bucks get the victory in overtime, 115 to 111. That game was crazy. These NBA playoffs, like I've said, they've been amazing. They're going to continue to be amazing. I'm so excited. Any of these 4 teams could realistically win the championship. Now that the big juggernaut is gone, if the Nets would have found out a way to sneak out of this series, Harden was only going to get better if he had no setbacks to his hamstring, and they were going to get Kyrie back, and then the Nets were going to be dangerous. But the Bucks hold on away in Brooklyn. Just a really amazing game. Like it went. Let's talk about that KD shot at the end of the game. That was ridiculous. He was 1 inch away from winning the game, but his foot was on the line, so it was only a 2. He tied the game, went to overtime, and it just seemed like both teams were super fatigued, super tired. There was nothing left in the tank. Brooklyn Nets scored the first 2 points in overtime, and then both teams just went on to miss a lot of shots. It looked like the Bucks were gonna blow it. They were running some terrible offensive setups, some calls, some sets, whatever you want to call it. They were running terrible plays. They had no flow to their offense. It was like a Giannis post up. It was like Middleton just chucking the shots. It looked clumsy. It was not appealing to the eye at all. Any other team would have punished them, but the Nets were completely out of gas. Harden was not really contributing much. Joe Harris had one of the worst playoff series of his life, or of any player that you want to count on. KD had played the whole game, so he was like, there was nothing left on his tank. His legs were completely shot. There wasn't really anybody from the Nets that could punish the Bucks in overtime for their inability to create anything on offense. So the first 3.5 minutes, I think there was only 2 points scored by the Nets. Finally, Giannis gets a point, gets a bucket, ties the game up, and after that, it was hard for the Nets to get anything going. I believe the game was tied 109, and it finished 115-111. So it was just tough. It was tough. And KD had a chance to tie the game at the end, but he missed the 3. He airballed it, and then game was pretty much over. Shout out to KD. He had another great game. He played the whole game, all 53 minutes. He was out there on the court, and it was just an epic battle. KD ended with 48 points, the most ever in a Game 7. So that's really, really impressive stuff by KD. There was nothing much more that he could have done. And Giannis finishes with 40 points, a crazy stat line. Both of them going for 40 points. It was just one of these epic battles that you did not want to miss. And now I believe the Bucks, in my opinion, should be the favorites to win the title. But I don't know if they deserve it. They play very clumsy basketball at times, very unorganized. They don't really know what they're doing. I used to be a real supporter of Mike Budenholzer. I thought he was an underrated coach. He's won 2 coaches of the year. But I saw a tweet that I think wraps it up the best. He's the Marty Schottenheimer of the NFL. Marty was great. I used to be a Charger fan when they were in his D before they betrayed us, before the Spanos took him to LA. I was a diehard Charger fan, and I remember when they fired him because he just couldn't get stuff done in the playoffs. He's a great regular season coach. Was that the best decision? Well, the Chargers didn't really end up winning anything. They did win some playoff games after they fired him, so at the time it did seem like it was right. Who knows what would have happened, but this seems to be almost the same situation where Mike Budenholzer, Coach Bud, he looks like he's a great regular season coach. He knows how to coach up the guys for the regular season, but when the playoffs comes, he just gets outclassed, outcoached by the other coaches, and he doesn't know how to adjust. He didn't know how to punish the Nets for playing James Harden too long. So if you just think about it, like the Bucks, are they the most deserving team? Probably not, but do they have the most talent? Are they the healthiest? Yes, they are, and they have a two-time MVP in Giannis. So, in my opinion, they should be the favorites to win it all. If Kawhi was healthy, then I think the Clippers would be right up there too. But other than that, this series was amazing. It looked like it was going to be amazing when everybody was healthy, and then it looked like the Nets were going to blow them out. And then the last 4 or 5 games were amazing. So this series lived up to the hype. We'll see how the Nets do next season. Once everyone gets healthy, we'll see how invested the 3 stars are, how invested the rest of the team is. The Nets, they basically just got to stay healthy. And Joe Harris, like, come on, man, what were you doing? Like for real, you're one of the best shooters in the NBA. You're amazing. Like, we all know what you could do. It was just, I don't know. Was he in his head? Did he not get enough sleep? Was the food bad? I don't know. But something was off with Joe Harris. And I feel like if Joe Harris would have had just a tad bit of a better series, they would have been way better off. Also, I think Steve Nash, 2-time MVP. He's a great player. He's a Hall of Famer. But he doesn't seem to be cut out for this job. I think he just didn't know how to push the right buttons. Unlike Tyronn Lue, who makes his whole team, like everybody on his team has to will get minutes either in this series or the next series. Tyronn Lue has been, I completely changed my mind on Tyronn Lue. He's a great coach. Steve Nash looks like it's pretty simple. He's like, oh, this is my best players. I'm going to play them all the game, basically. And if they need a little rest, I'll just put somebody in for like 2-3 minutes. And then you come out, you go back in. It doesn't really look like he knows how to draw up plays. Like, I already criticized Coach Bud. They had an out-of-bounds plays at the end of regulation where they didn't even get a shot up. Brook Lopez just kind of wasted the clock and kicked it out way too late. Didn't even get a shot up. I put that obviously on Brook Lopez, but I also put that on Coach Bud. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's a terrible play he drew up. At the end of Game 6, I think he did, like, with all the video replays and timeouts and stuff like that, they had like 4 or 5 out-of-bounds plays that you drew up nothing. You just chucked it up to Giannis, who was posting up KD or something. Anyways, both teams need better coaches. Coach Bud, he has a chance to win it, which would be crazy. And Steve Nash, I don't think he should be the guy for the Nets, but maybe I don't think they're gonna fire him. I think he's gonna stay there. And the team does have enough talent to surpass like the deficiencies that Steve Nash has. But as soon as an injury hit, as soon as a player has an off series, then that's when you really need a better coach. So we'll see if they keep him. Maybe they part ways. Maybe they don't. What do you guys think? It was a great series. I'm rambling. I get excited just thinking about the series. I'm all over the place. But let me know what you guys thought of the series. And should the Nets keep Steve Nash? Moving along. Ben Simmons, my guy, you had a terrible series. You shot free throws worse than anybody in NBA history, worse than Shaq, worse than anybody. You were just terrible. You didn't score in the fourth quarter. I see tweets that say that the Hawks or Ben Simmons was held to 5 points or 4 points. He wasn't held to 5 points. That's the most he could muster. Like, held means like, I don't know. I feel like that phrase should be said for like when a scorer or somebody that's good at getting buckets, like Trae Young. He had a rough night. I believe he ended up with 20 points, or I don't know how many he finished up, but let's say Trae Young only got 12 points. Then you could say, you know what, the Sixers held Trae Young to 12 points because, you know, there was an effort by the Sixers to stop Trae Young, a good scorer who's obviously trying to get buckets. I think that's when that phrase makes sense. You know, the Sixers held Devin Booker, or, you know, the Suns held PG-13 to set amount of points. Saying that the Hawks held Ben Simmons to 5 points is giving Ben Simmons way too much credit because he couldn't even try. He didn't even try. He can't even score more than 5 points. He's atrocious on the offensive end. It should say like the Hawks were surprised that Ben Simmons scored 5 points, or Ben Simmons miraculously scored 5 points. I don't know. I'm just very frustrated with Ben Simmons. I don't understand what he does in the off season. If you guys look up articles on Google by date, I don't know how to do it, but if you guys were to look up articles by Ben Simmons, I feel like we get the same articles around the same time for the last 3-4 years. Every time the Sixers fall out of the playoffs, I just saw an article that said, "Oh, the Sixers have a plan with Ben Simmons this offseason to work on his shot." There's definitely a similar article from 2020, from 2019, from 2018. There's definitely been articles for Ben Simmons in the last few years saying the same thing. At this point, if you're a writer for Bleacher Report, if you're a writer for ESPN, if you're a writer for, any of these other sports networks, articles, websites, anything, you could probably have a draft written up for next year. If he's still there with the Sixers, even if he's not with the Sixers, I don't really have too much faith in Ben Simmons to work on his shot, to work on his free throws. I could probably start up drawing a draft for next offseason, for next postseason, saying the exact same thing. Said team, you can just leave it blank, because I do think Ben Simmons is going to be on the way out. He's going to go to a team. I don't know how much the Sixers are going to get for him, but I think he's on the way out. But I could start writing my draft right now. Said team is going to work with Ben Simmons on his free throws, on his shooting, on his aggressiveness for next year. So I could put, if this is 2021, it's going to be 2022 going into the 2023 season. I could start working on it already, because I have no faith in Ben Simmons to work on his shot, to work on his free throws, to work on his game, to do anything on the offensive side. He's better in the... people seem to be flabbergasted, seems to be confused why he's a little bit better in the regular season than in the postseason. And that's because in the regular season, you get more fast breaks. Defense is way more loose. Not everyone's trying. Teams are tanking. So in transition, Ben Simmons is great. He's amazing. He has one of the best court visions in the NBA. He knows how to put enough spin, enough English, enough force on the ball to get it to the open shooter. He's found Seth Curry on the corner a lot of times and in the fast break, and it's like, damn, that looks good. But that's pretty much all he's good at. He could score some transition points. He could tag the bucket in transition, or he could find the open shooter, the open cutter in transition. Once you get into the half court, he's terrible. People sag off him. You can only put him in the low block, and even then, you could just hack him, and he's gonna make 35 at the very best, maybe 45% of his free throws. It's just embarrassing. First overall pick, supposed to be the next LeBron. Like, come on, what are you doing, man? Not much, apparently. But the Sixers, Joel Embiid, I give him props. He's one of the best centers. He's one of the best big men in the NBA. He was playing on a torn meniscus, or slightly torn ACL, whatever it was. He left it out on the court. Yeah, it's getting annoying. He seems to be injured every season, but with a talent like that, with someone that's gonna leave it all out on the court, who's developed his game, his mid-range was improved a lot tremendously this year, and his three-point shot is getting better again. It's going almost back to his rookie season when he was hitting them at a good clip. And he's just an amazing talent. He was MVP candidate. He's gonna continue to be an MVP candidate if he can stay healthy. But Ben Simmons just seems to not. He likes to be a star. He's not working on his game. And honestly, I'm tired. I feel sorry for Philly fans. I know that I don't feel too bad for them, because they are one of the more brutal fan bases in the NBA and in all of sports. But I don't know who trades for Ben Simmons. I don't think he could be a 2 on the team. People are saying that he should go to a team that could build around him, just get shooters. I would not build around Ben Simmons. I don't think he could be a 1. If people have questions about Giannis being a 1, especially if he would have lost that Game 7 against the Bucks, people would have said that there's no way he should be a 1. There's absolutely no way Ben Simmons could be a number 1. And I would argue that he probably can't even be your number 2. And even a 3. He should probably be a 3 at tops. He's heading towards the Andrew Wiggins route, where he showed some promise in his first year. Andrew Wiggins was a 20-plus point scorer, and you were like, okay, he's going to be great. He doesn't have the best, percentages. He's in the low 40s, in the low 30s for his 3, but he's already a 20-plus point scorer. He's going to continue to get better as he ages. and that never happened. He was always, for the first 3 seasons, he was a 20-point scorer, but with bad shooting percentages. His assists, his rebounds weren't there. He never really understood the game of basketball. Ben Simmons, completely different. He understands the game of basketball. He's smarter. He's a good passer. He can get some rebounds, but his offensive game is a whole, and it's not improving. His rookie year, I believe he averaged around 16, 17 points, like 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and you're like, okay, this fool might average a triple-double for his career. Like, he's going to be amazing. Like, once he gets a shot, he's going to be amazing. Well, we're 4 or 5 years in, and he doesn't have a shot. His free throws are regressing. He's not even attempting shots. I don't know. How much more time are we going to give Ben Simmons before we just accept that he's not that guy? He's just a more athletic Draymond Green that is missing Draymond Green's intensity and desire to win and desire to, be a good player in the championship team. But I digress. That's enough of Ben Simmons. I hope he puts in the work this offseason, but I'm not too hopeful that he is. And I do think he's going to get traded. I think the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid experiment has to end for everyone's sake. For Joel Embiid, he deserves a better co-star, someone that suits him better, someone that can shoot, someone that can stretch the floor and free up the paint. For Ben Simmons, like, if he's ever going to fix it, it's not going to be in Philly. He deserves to maybe get a fresh start somewhere else. Wimbledon starts on June 28th. Federer is going to be there. Djokovic is going to be there. Nadal, unfortunately, isn't. Andy Murray's coming back. Who do I think is going to win? Do I think there's going to be an upset? Djokovic enters as the heavy favorite, as he should. He's in amazing form now. He just won his second French Open, defeating Nadal in the semis, defeating Tsitsipas in the final after being down 0-2. Do I think Federer has a chance? Do I think Tsitsipas has a chance? Do I think Andy Murray has a chance coming back to get his third Wimbledon? Do I think Medvedev has a chance? Or is Djokovic going to get his third Grand Slam of the year after winning the Australian, winning the French? Man. I wish I could come up here and, give you guys something different, give you guys a different take. Maybe go with the bold prediction, go with the bold take, some type of soundbite that will sound flashy, that will sound cool. You know what? For the first time, there's going to be a first time winner. There's going to be, Tsitsipas. He's going to get revenge from the French Open. Or, Medvedev, he's going to get his first ever Wimbledon. Or something like, real catchy, like the hometown hero. Andy Murray is going to come back from injury and from not really competing these last few years, and he's going to get his third Wimbledon. Or Federer, he's gonna at the ripe age of 39, he's gonna get another Wimbledon, add another Wimbledon to his many Wimbledon wins. But I am not gonna give you any of those hot takes because I truly believe that Djokovic is gonna win his 20th title, his 20th Grand Slam in July, come July time. He's just in too hot of a form. He's the number 1 ranked tennis player for a reason. Federer, coming off 3 knee surgeries, is not the same. Andy Murray is not the same. And I just don't believe any of these guys that could potentially be first-time winners of Wimbledon have it in them to beat Djokovic at this level. With this mindset, he's just, every interview that he seems to have, he talks about, getting that 20th title, catching up to Nadal and Federer. He's the one out of the big 3. He's the one that acknowledges that he wants to end up with the most Grand Slam victories out of all of them. It's a goal for him. And with the level that he's playing at right now, with the way the field of competition is looking, I just don't see him not walking away in July with Wimbledon. And yeah, hot takes and sound bites like the ones I mentioned sound cool, and they would, they probably would have gotten more replies, and they probably would have, gotten more reactions. But I just honestly, I don't believe it. I don't think it's gonna happen, so I can't say it. I do just think that Djokovic is in a very good form right now, and no one is gonna touch him. Will I be surprised if it happens? Yes, absolutely. Would I? There would be some historic stuff. Like, he's such a favorite in my opinion to win Wimbledon that if he goes down, it would be almost the same as not as when he beat Nadal in Roland Garros, because that was crazy. No one thought that could happen, and I'm almost putting them even. Like, Djokovic is in such good form that if he was to go down in Wimbledon, it would shock me almost as much as it shocked me, or maybe the same type of shock that I had when Djokovic beat Nadal in Roland Garros. It would be that type of shock. So the Hearts Handle prediction for Wimbledon 2021 is an easy one. Djokovic, in my heart of hearts, is going to win 2021 Wimbledon. But let me know what you guys think. Is there a possibility that Federer has a Cinderella story and gets another one? Or Andy Murray maybe? Or any of these up-and-coming tennis players? Let me know what's the argument behind that, because personally I just don't see it happening. But yeah, let me know and I'll hit you guys back up. But that should be it for this episode of the Hearts Handle Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. This is a quick episode. Just wanted to touch on what's going on in the NBA playoffs and give my predictions on Wimbledon. I will be making an episode shortly giving my predictions for the Euros, for the quarterfinals, for the knockout rounds. The Euros have been moving a bit too quickly for me to catch up to make videos, but I'll try to get more out as it gets in the knockout ranges. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying all the sports that are going on right now, and have a great rest of your day.